Hello, Sharpies, and welcome to this very special edition of Steel Sharpens Steel, the Super Tuesday / State of the Union Address episode, where we're going to be tackling some of the top issues as we always do, but then we're also going to be live blogging the State of the Union Address. So we're so pleased that you're here. We hope to have a lively conversation in the chat. I'm Tom Cunningham.
I'm Joy Stevens, and welcome to all of our standard, regular day one Sharpies, including the ever present and ever first, Anthony Turner. Good to see you in the building, my friend. I'm looking forward to
threatened and compromised. How accurate?
Threatened and yes, that is the State of the Union, threatened and compromised. We find ourselves in familiar territory because if the democracy and the very fabric of this country is being threatened, yeah, we know. We've been here before. So it'll be interesting to see what is said tonight, what is not said tonight, what strong points the president tries to bring forward, and how the GOP responds to everything that he is going to say, other than saying, "Get off my lawn." We'll just see. We'll see how it goes.
It's funny that you bring up all that you brought up in terms of him getting the State of the Union together. I saw the trailer for the Fallout series or movie that's coming out on Amazon. I never played the game, so I didn't really understand what it was, other than I knew that there was this guy in this little blue suit with a lightning bolt on it, and then it was just not a game I was interested in. But it occurred to me that we've always had dystopian novels, right? So from Brave New World and The Time Machine and all these sorts of things, we've always had these sorts of
Parable of the Sower,
right? And oh yeah, well sure, Octavia Butler's a genius. So in pop culture, but think back, ever since the reemergence of zombies and the prominence of zombies that was established by The Walking Dead, we have been in almost like a 20-year cycle of dystopian nightmares as the stuff of popular culture. The Last of Us, Fallout, that game, Biohazard,
Zombieland, 24 days later.
Yeah, Zombieland, Double Tap, all these sorts of things. And we've been living in this heightened tension of apocalyptic, dystopian kind of doom right on the cusp of whatever for damn near 20 years. And to be here when Donald Trump is about to face off against Joe Biden as president of this country again, it just makes it very present. I mean, even movies like The Dead Zone, which is one of my favorite.
Movies. Anthony Michael Hall back in the day.
Walken and Martin Sheen and all of that. I always loved that movie. One of the rare things where I consider it to be better than the book. A lot of Stephen King books have some challenges, and
they don't translate because it's too much introspection internal.
Right. And this was a particular movie that actually worked very, very well. So I say all that to say tonight we've got two things. We're going to reflect. We're going to look back on Super Tuesday, which unsurprisingly centered around the two very old, very white men who have now essentially clinched the nomination for their respective parties, and the State of the Union tonight, which we're going to be live blogging. So because we don't have a ton of time, we've only got about 20 minutes before the schedule started of the State of the Union. We want to jump right in. Super Tuesday, Joy, what were your big takeaways on the contests and the surprise victory of Nikki Haley in Vermont and falling on the heels of her success in the District of Columbia as also actually winning 2 primaries out of this race?
I was surprised that she still was garnering additional support. And it was a little bit heartening, even though the whole GOP is trash as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not going to vote for any of them. However, I think that she showed, like we said last week, some of the weaknesses in Trump's approach in his campaign. And she's also showing him up to be the petty person we knew he was, because it was no longer him against the evil Democratic Hillary. She's in your party. She used to stump for you, bruh. And now you're saying that she's incompetent. You keep hiring people, and then when they disappoint you, talking about how you always knew they were terrible. So you hire terrible people. There's no win-win here for you. I also think part of me was like, I kind of wish that she would run as an independent, because I do think that she would pull Republican votes as opposed to Democratic votes.
Well, there are some people who are saying that, and it might not be her, it might be somebody else,
Mm.
but there are people saying that there
Some
is
other chalk horse.
a third party
Mhm.
run is being
Right.
contemplated specifically for that purpose, just to pull enough votes away from Trump.
Hmm.
I don't know that on balance if those people chose to stay home, but if there is an impulse in a Republican voter that they'd rather not waste their vote and they do want to go out to the polls and vote, they just don't
Hmm.
want to vote for Trump and they just don't want to leave their ballot blank, which is also a perfectly viable option. I'm happy to have you vote for a third person so that at least that third person's votes, you just like Jill Stein, you could see
Right.
how Hillary lost because of the Jill Stein votes in those 3 states. And so
Hmm.
I think that would be a useful tool.
Yeah.
The big takeaway from me from Super Tuesday is that uh, as the nominal frontrunner, as the person who has never been in question as far as who was going to be the eventual nominee. Certainly after the season began in earnest, there was a time when Ron DeSantis was considered a viable prospect, but by the time votes actually started, everybody
Hmm.
knew that he was done. So the fact that she was still pulling between 30 and 40% of GOP voters,
She was a viable candidate.
she was. And guess what? Biden never was that low on Super Tuesday.
Yeah.
He never got that low. And by the way, the only person who was even close to him outside of American Samoa, which was a 92-person caucus, the only person who ever got close to him was uncommitted. So Marianne Williamson, Dean Phillips, none of the humans that were running against him actually broke single digits. And uncommitted was a protest vote, a clear
Yeah.
protest vote. You're sending a
But
message. That's
I
fine.
like that they're protesting now because don't
Correct.
protest when it
This is the
matters. Yeah.
time. It's like a
Mhm.
lot of people. I voted for Bernie Sanders in the primary. I wasn't.
I
I
did
mean,
too. Yeah.
when it came down to before Obama had like really broke through or whatever, I was happy to vote because I didn't want Hillary. And I definitely wasn't going to kiss the ring and all that other foolishness with her. So I was all too happy to vote for Bernie Sanders because I like a lot of Bernie Sanders' positions.
Hmm.
But there was no way I wasn't going to not vote for Barack Obama.
Right. Oh, yeah. No.
There was no way.
I
And even
thought
when
you
she
meant.
ran,
I thought you meant the primary in 20 in
no, you're right. In
16. Yeah.
2016, the 2015-16 primary season.
Hmm.
So, you know, listen, I figured she'd get it, but I wanted people to know
Hmm.
that Bernie deserved to be heard. And
I was.
so,
I would consider myself a democratic socialist, and so I was on board with a
right.
lot of Bernie's policies. I am team eat the rich, so you know, I can rock with it. I believe in redistribution of wealth because I believe the wealth was got through ill-gotten, through illegal and immoral and unethical means. And so, I believe in a great correction, which is probably why I won't run for office because, I don't know.
Well, I know that one of the big stories out of Super Tuesday was the emergence of the gubernatorial candidate for North Carolina, who is an absolute nut job. You
Yes,
could
that.
not have written him better if he were a character on the Boondocks. He is Uncle Ruckus made whole.
Yes.
Everything
He
from
thinks Uncle Ruckus is liberal.
bro,
Uncle Ruckus actually likes women.
he makes Uncle Ruckus look like Cornell West.
Yo.
So I mean, he literally said, and this is one of the things that I love about social media, because your social media record never dies, and they have
Right.
already pulled so many receipts. Like, they don't even need to do anything. The only campaign commercials that they need to run, he has given all of the Oppo research. He is ops himself.
Yes.
Everything from it was better when women couldn't vote
Right.
to
Now,
black
I will
people
say with a
owe the
caveat.
country reparations.
Yeah, well, so the first one, when he said he would prefer to go back to a time when women couldn't vote, they gave him a binary choice. Do you want to go back to a time where people were getting hung from trees or women couldn't vote? And he was like, well, I'm gonna go for the women couldn't vote. So I will say in that very specific condition, all right, but the whole we owe reparations, boy, F you. How dare you? The unmitigated gall.
The
Really?
gall. The mitigated and unmitigated gall. So
Mhm.
we quickly touched on it, but I don't
I
see
said
how
unmitigated. Didn't I?
I don't see how Trump can feel as strongly as he feels he is as a candidate when you are the incumbent for your party. Even if you're not the incumbent sitting in the office now, you are the incumbent for your party. Period.
Mhm.
Joe Biden has not lost any elections, and that has not lost any United States state elections. American Samoa, caucus, island, far away, sure. Your one electoral vote, great.
I mean, they
But
count and their voices were heard, but it's not going
they
to
were
be a
heard.
needle flicker. Yeah.
No, it's I mean, in the Iowa caucus even. I mean, the
Hmm.
Iowa caucus is at least thousands of people. 92 people sitting in a room, that's fine. You came in second place to a guy who's not going to get any other votes. So, okay. But you are still demonstrably, and the people who did not vote for you were casting a protest vote specifically around Gaza. And I'm
Hmm.
not saying those people are going to come home. Some of them are upset, and they have every right to be
Yes, they
upset.
do.
What is going on in Palestine is a travesty. So I'm not disputing that he has some problems. However, at the end of the day, Trump is not a viable choice for you. As strongly as you feel about Biden's policies, you
Hmm.
know that Trump is not a choice.
He's not pulling. He's not pulling his weight. He would need to have uncontested 100% adaptation on the GOP side to have a chance at this attempt to run again. And he's getting, we're starting to see that separation of the hardcore race base
Mm-hmm.
from the rest of the people who just didn't want to vote Democrat. The people who
Right.
are like, I don't want to vote Democrat, are looking at him like, bro, I can't. I'm sorry, I just can't.
Well,
And they're
and
valid with that.
anybody's valid because the man's a loon. And so you've got Mark Robinson, you've got a current
Mark.
GOP governor in a swing state, a clear swing state.
He only weighs 200 pounds, Mark.
Not even that, and he can
Yeah.
live to 200.
Right, right. Because
Apparently,
he's the picture of health.
he's the picture of health.
If
I
it
mean,
was dipped in Kool-Aid, yes.
the picture of Dorian Gray of health. But
Yes.
if you're gonna pick a picture,
Somebody said he looked like if a Dorito ate a hamburger on the toilet. I was like, wow.
that is so specific.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think I'm gonna put that into Midjourney and see what what image results. A Dorito eating a hamburger on
On
a
the toilet.
toilet, and see what Midjourney spits out. Or maybe I'll just do it in Bing. Bing could
Hmm.
generate a result too. So we're about 10 minutes away. We've got Ocasio-Cortez talking to, I think that's Jamie Raskin on C-SPAN right now. We're going to be sharing a C-SPAN feed. So we invite you to get your typing fingers ready. We're going to be throwing things into the chat in response. There may be some times where we will just talk over, depending on the breaks. But we are going to live blog this whole thing. It's going to be a little bit longer show than we usually do, just because we want to make sure that we are covering the entire State of the Union. We are very pleased that you are with us. Some of the late breaking developments that turned out to not break.
Real quick, before you continue,
Yeah,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to address Elaine's message here, so I don't have to leave it up. So she said if they don't like Biden's actions on Gaza, everyone knows Trump will be worse. That
Right.
cannot justify those uncommitted folks voting for Trump. I don't think they will. I think it was
Yeah.
a protest vote, and I don't think they ever planned to vote for Trump. They just wanted people to acknowledge that Biden needs to step it up and to
Right.
do some different things with American foreign policy in order to not be supporting genocide.
He's really kind of in a bad box
He is.
because frankly, he's not doing anything different than anybody else has done.
He's just doing it during an election year.
And it's happening during an election year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the encroachment of Israel on Palestinian occupied territory, or Palestinian territory that is now occupied territory, has been happening for generations. Yeah. I remember when Anwar Sadat and Menachem Begin were working together on a peace plan, and Sadat ended up getting murdered behind it. So, I mean,
right. Like
this has been going on.
Even if you don't follow politics at all, if you're a hip hop head, peace in the Middle East was an ending phrase for many a song in the 80s.
I was a child. I am 55 years old. That is since I was in like before I was in school. This has been an ongoing thing. That's right. You know what, Mark? It would have been outstanding. I would
Yeah,
have
we
loved
missing too.
to have had that happen. Shout out to Chuck and Sharon.
Hey, Sharon. She gonna beat me for that. I'll take it, girl. Hey, miss you, girl.
So we are just about 8 minutes away. Mike Johnson looks like he may be. Oh, he just slammed the gavel. I'm going to bring them into the feed, and we can see how things are going.
The gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Scalise. The gentleman from Minnesota, Mr. Emmer. The gentlewoman from New York, Ms. Stefanik.
Oh, he's just reading off his people. We don't need to listen to that
Mhm.
foolishness. I
And
definitely don't
Elaine,
want
you
to.
about to get invited to sit on the show because you be coming with the fire. But yeah, you're right. Some of the things that are happening, we've always known were going to happen or wanted to happen.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
we're just seeing it happen in our lifetime. You know.
So we do have a couple of other things we can dance on while Mike Johnson reads all the 200 names. Mitch McConnell stepping aside as the Senate Minority Leader came out and finally endorsed Trump after Nikki Haley suspended her campaign. There is no one left. It'll be really interesting for me to see over the next couple of races as they evolve, because Trump has yet to clinch the nomination. It's numerically impossible for anybody else to wrest it from him. But there are still other elections in the pipeline. And it'll be interesting to see, just like people are still voting for Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley has galvanized and become the uncommitted vote for the GOP. And so it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see whether or not people are still going to vote for her in significant numbers, because it's just the primary. This is the time to say, nah, Trump, we don't like you like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time for him to see how much trouble he's in. And that's notwithstanding the fact that he had to put down the bond for E. Jean Carroll today. That $83 million, if he's going to go forward with the appeal.
Man. For those who can't read this comment, it says, I literally thought he was dying. Don't make an announcement again and get my hopes up like that.
You talk about Mitch McConnell, and there he
Yes.
is,
I thought
stumbling
he had
through.
glitched out for the last time, but nah, bruh.
No,
He's back.
and look, this is his last hurrah. And he had the nerve to tell people that the idea of term limits for Senate members was offensive. Bruh.
You know what's offensive? You and your whole existence is offensive.
Your lizard person, glitching, cancerous looking hands, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's ridiculous. That's actually ridiculous. Oh, geez, there's Matt Gaetz and a guy picking his nose.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, our good friend Democrat Joe Manchin, who's not running for president, thankfully, sitting next to Mitt Romney, two moderates who have made their exit stage left. You got Colin Allred sitting next to is that a...
Yo, I was like, why is Charles Barkley here?
Was he sitting next to Ocasio-Cortez?
Maybe. I think maybe, yeah.
Okay, superstar. You gotta know where the camera's going to be.
And the shape of that face. And I was like, that's Charles Barkley.
No, that was a clever move. I'm sure they orchestrated that because they know that she's going to have camera attention. So,
yeah.
And he had a very good night. Okay, it looks like he's coming in now. This is Secret Service. We're going to turn on the audio.
That's Secret Service. That is not Secret Service.
Oh, no, it is not. Mm-mm. Oh, these must be the guests.
Yeah, they look like guests. They look real happy to be there. They're the only ones that are happy to be there.
But usually the guests are like up in the gallery. They don't get, this is the floor.
I just knew that dude up front was not the height requirement for Secret Service.
No, he was maybe the burrito requirement for Secret Service, because he was certainly looking kind of chunky.
Mm.
He didn't look exactly like Jack Reacher to be protecting the president. I will have to... Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, looks amazing.
She does look amazing. I'm glad to see her in her element, you know?
Mm-hmm. Looks a damn sight better than Mike Johnson, who is about the most generic looking human possible, I think.
Thanks for this comment, Elaine. Said they asked Bernie if he'll miss Sinema, and Bernie said no. He said
Right.
him and Manchin both blocked the Democrats from making progress, and he is not unhappy to see both of them leave.
And that's something that we forgot to mention. Kirsten Sinema
Mhm.
officially announced that she's not going to be seeking re-election, which
Mhm.
opens the door to Ruben Gallego. And of course, Carrie Lake, she of the dubious genetic heritage, came right out and cast aspersions on Nikki Haley's heritage by
Mhm.
improperly spelling her name in a tweet. Okay, it looks like this is actually him coming in now.
Okay. Yeah, they're
So it is-
standing. Is that the
Wait,
SOTUS?
oh, this is SCOTUS. Boy, is it me or does Roberts look really old?
He is really old. Was
I mean,
that the
he's not as
presidential
old
limo
as
on the other side coming
he's
through?
not Rehnquist old.
I mean, old is relative. He's old to me. They all old to me.
Well, that's true. I see Elena
Katanji's the
Kagan. I
only
see
one.
Sotomayor. Where's Ketanji Brown Jackson?
I don't know. They probably locked her in a room somewhere.
Maybe she's the designated survivor.
Mm.
It looks like
You know what?
the House of Representatives women have decided to come again and en masse in white to demonstrate the power
Yeah.
of their caucus.
Yeah, I see them back there.
A nice, bold demonstration. I do not see Ketanji Brown Jackson, though.
Anthony saw her. He's like, there she is. He saw her
Oh,
in there
okay.
somewhere. So she's in there.
Okay. Got to get that newest justice in there.
Mhm.
So we're just about 1 minute away. It looks like they have
He's-
it looks like his presidential limo or the supercar has just arrived.
Oh, apparently she was next to Roberts. We just didn't see
Oh, I
her.
thought on the other side. Oh, there she is. She's on
There
the
we
other.
go. Thank you, cameraman. Come through, madam.
Oh,
Loving
she's
it.
on the row behind.
I'm not going to talk about how that looks, but all right. I mean,
You know what? She looks stunning, though.
yeah,
Do you know how
she looks
unwrinkled that
qualified
forehead
and
is?
competent.
Oh, absolutely. And young and vibrant.
Right.
Now, who is the tall guy with the hair behind Elena Kagan?
No idea.
Come on, Vice President. Looking so serene,
Right? She look like she just left the spa. That's what I'm talking
hands
about.
clasped.
Mm-hmm.
They
Good
both have
point.
flag pins. Her pin is a little bit larger and it's a wavier flag pin.
Yep, Elaine, you're right.
She is the baby.
Mm-hmm. Black woman mojo. That's what's up.
I know that's right.
Mm-hmm. There are more women of color in this room than there have ever been. So progress doesn't always progress.
Oh, was that Barbara Lee?
Always look. What?
Was that Barbara Lee between Manchin in that shot?
I don't know. I was busy making a statement.
Barbara Lee was unsuccessful in her bid to become a senator from the great state of California. Adam Schiff is going to be facing off against Steve Garvey of MLB fame come November. Neither Katie Porter nor no, that's not Barbara Lee. That's somebody help me, Sharpie. Who's talking to Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson now?
Here he comes.
There he is.
Because you know it's going to be another 15 minutes before he actually says anything.
Well, this is okay. I mean, this color commentary kind of works because we're not actually stepping over anybody else actually saying
Sheila
anything.
Jackson Lee.
Sheila Jackson Lee. Thank you. That's it. Sheila Jackson from Texas, not Barbara. Yep.
I should know that. I feel ashamed. Of
You got
course,
the
I
sharpest Sharpies. That's why they're the Sharpies, because you're
exactly.
sharp.
So y'all are the sharpest tacks in the box.
Not like I couldn't have Googled myself, but we appreciate it. It is after Mitch's bedtime.
Mm-hmm. I do see a lot of white dresses back there.
Yeah, no, that looks great.
Mm-hmm. I like them to remind everybody, what they stand for in a very non-intrusive way.
So was that
Look at them being
Scalia?
the bright spot in the room. I love it.
Was that Scalia? Or
Yes.
no, Alito in
Yes.
that previous SCOTUS shot?
Not really looking.
Is that George Santos?
How did he get in here?
I
Why is
think
he?
he's in the
Why is
I
he
think
here?
he's in the balcony.
Oh,
Was
being a
that
chief
that looked
seat.
like there's Marco Rubio.
Yep.
But I think that yeah, right there in between Roberts and Sotomayor.
I got the same question, Shan. How did he get in here? Isn't there a warrant out for him?
Somebody let him in. Who let the George in? Who?
Who let the frauds out?
Oh, we have Lisa Murkowski, who famously has denied an endorsement and will not vote for Trump, standing next to our least favorite Maine Senator, Susan Collins, whose tricky ass helped to get Amy Coney Barrett into SCOTUS. Oh, and Lil Lindsay hanging out with the girls. His
Kikiing in the corner.
girlfriends, they're through thick and thin. His girlfriends, la 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 la. It seems like there are a lot of people not in their seats.
Well, I think they're milling around. I think they're in the room, just not in their place.
And there's the crypt
Who
keeper.
is this? Because he looked like he just came up out the grave.
I mean, he looks like a vampire that needs some a snack.
Needs a blood infusion, yeah. Like the old vampire from what was that show?
Ted Cruz still trying to butch it up with a beard. With Josh Hawley, those two.
That beard does not look
raggy.
good on Ted Cruz. He still just looks like if Eddie Munster tried to play grown up. Like it's just not working.
Absolutely. Or Haskell, Eddie Haskell.
Eddie Munster.
Well, both. Munster Haskell.
She said that dude looked fresh off the $20 bill.
Well, we're past our projected start time, which means Donald Trump has lost about $1 a second. So he's lost a couple $100 since we started the show. I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Okay, it looks like maybe this guy's officially about to announce. Wrap it up, everybody. Get in your seats. Sheila Jackson Lee sending some text.
Is she okay?
Okay, why is Christopher Kattan talking to Mitt Romney?
Chris Kattan?
Yeah, the guy from SNL. That dude looked like Chris
Yeah,
Kattan.
that's what I thought she said.
Peepers, the monkey. All right, Silver Fox.
Right, come through, Boulay. That's what she look like she going.
Gosh, I can't stand this guy.
I abhor him.
And there's a brown woman sitting next to him.
Look at him staring at the fallen angel, telling him what to do.
Oh, and a little fist bump.
Ew.
He looks like a used car salesman. I thought that woman in the red jacket was Marjorie Failure.
I did too. I was thinking it was her, but I was like, nah.
She's wearing a red jacket, but she's wearing a t-shirt because she's just that uncool.
Okay, no, that woman had on a red dress, so she in there somewhere.
Oh, I saw her earlier.
I don't know why I'm looking up like I can look into the room.
Yeah, it's like,
who's that over there in the corner? Who all gonna be there? Hey, Bernie.
Oh, Bernie
Sanders. Just talking about you. And that's the senator from my state sitting next to him on the other side. Good pastor. I love how popular Justice Brown is right now. Brown Jackson.
Biden border crisis. Really, girl?
What? Ooh. Hmm.
Okay. Black seriously doesn't crack. I love Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson sitting with 3 House
Come
congressional
through,
districts.
Auntie. Check her out. Don't
Come
talk to
on,
me.
Maxine and Clyburn.
Mhm. Forever reclaiming her time.
Oh, that's Tuberville. Jackass. Oh, that dude wants to be president so badly.
Yeah.
You see that little buzz cut he has?
Yeah, he looks like he's trying to give military history with that buzz cut.
Absolutely. Rashida Tlaib.
I'm loving the braids back there, though.
Now I have not seen uh, Ilhan, Representative Ilhan.
Ilhan Omar? Yeah.
I've seen the other prominent members of the squad. I haven't seen Ayanna Pressley.
Mm. Wow, look at his wrist.
There's nothing more
You know, term
enchanting.
limits would be good for the country as well as these individuals. And I'm not even joking at this point. Some of them need to go lay down.
Yeah, they do.
Enjoy the rest of your time with your family.
And just the way he was looking at that.
Mm-hmm. SG Row in the house.
Yeah. Here are some more people. Is that Scalise?
Some more people.
Is that Scalise? He called his name before, so I presumed he was in.
Already, yeah. I will say, you know, for what it's worth, again, way more women of color, way more minority or marginalized representation in this room, despite the effery that has been happening over the last decade, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, without question.
Progress is slow, but it is ever forward.
She is, she's being very cordial.
What happened to your light? Oh, okay. Oh,
I have to move. I'm not moving enough.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. If Mitch had left, you know, a decade ago, like he was supposed to, he would have been around his family more when he could still remember them.
Well.
Ooh, Elaine, you got
here's Jill Biden. So we're close. We're
historically, term limits open the doors for more wealthy, non-experienced millionaires to buy seats. That is true. That is true. But we got some Mark Cubans out there. They might actually be worth something, you know.
Yeah.
Come on,
Jill
Dr.
Biden
Biden.
must be said in a pale.
Dr. Jill Biden.
Dr. Jill Biden, First Lady, in a lovely, pale I would say that I'd call that celadon, a celadon suit.
Sure. I was gonna say,
and it looks like, oh, good Lord! Every time here it is. She just said something. Okay, I don't know who that is. Oh, that's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the brother, right?
Mm.
The one who's had the recent health troubles.
He's looking good right now.
He looks great. Oh, that's Janet Yellen. Yeah, these are cabinet. These are cabinet secretaries.
Do you have them on mute?
I do. Because it's just this background noise. And it was fighting our commentary.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there's Barbara Lee hugging someone in the she must be receiving congratulations.
And there's my Sora Marsha Fudge.
Yeah, I saw Marsha Fudge. It's filling up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's Pete Buttigieg.
Yep, Georgia represented well.
Secretary. Yeah. Oh, watch yourself. I do wonder who I'm going to have to look this up. Or actually, so I don't mess up anything, can we get a Sharpie to find out who the designated survivor is tonight? We know it's not Kiefer Sutherland.
Hmm.
Do they even announce that? I don't even know if they do announce it.
I have no idea.
I think we just have to look and try to recognize which cabinet secretary isn't present.
Wow, look at all this sameness right here.
Oh, Pete's getting a little gray.
He'll be all right.
Oh, no, he'll be fine.
Mhm.
Oh, there's a Sigma Gamma Rho.
Yep, come through.
And with the Kente cloth.
Say what you
Double
want.
hit.
You know, all the haters out there, say what you want about how the D9 doesn't do this and doesn't do that because they didn't give you, a sleepover or something when you were in middle school, whatever. But D9 is extremely well represented in the houses of government.
They sure are. And your sorority, stay represented.
That's what we do. Shout out to Shirley Chisholm.
Hello. Soon to be played by Regina King. And
That's going to be so glorious.
I wonder who they're going to have play Nixon, because that's when she really kind of emerged as a force during the I mean, she became incredible headline news.
Yeah.
During the Nixon.
I could see your boy Master in Command. I could see him playing Nixon. I forget his name, but you know what I'm talking about. Gladiator.
Yeah. Russell Crowe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Frank Langella played him to great effect in Frost Nixon, but I always thought Frank Langella was too good looking to be Richard Nixon, frankly. Richard Nixon was
prosthetics nowadays, they'll make it work.
Yeah, they could. Exactly. So we just need to figure out who's not here.
Mm-hmm.
You know it's not going to be a black one, so. Nice. Look at Jill, Dr. Biden.
Mm-hmm. Just shining.
Shining.
I mean, again, it does my heart proud to see so many people because it's not like they're having to go search for the one to get them on camera. The camera is just panning the audience and we're capturing them. We're catching diversity at every turn.
In a shot. Ugh. Why even show her? Although I have to say the updo is kind
of fair and balanced, you know.
I'm not mad at the
updo. She's trying to look smart.
Yeah, that dress is hitting. I'll give you credit for that, Lauren Boebert.
Mm-hmm. Her PR team was like, look, what you're not going to do is go out here and embarrass us.
Yeah, you're not going to be a T-shirt wearing you lying tonight, girl. Right. You need to sit your ass down. Keep it cute. Now, who is this sister sitting next to Dr. Biden?
I was about to ask you.
Because she's obviously a special guest. They're always very strategic in how they do this.
That's the only thing about being able to live stream this is normally we'd be watching this on MSNBC or something else where they've got their own commentary and their fact checkers telling you who everybody is on screen. C-SPAN is just good luck.
But also, I mean, we're doing a good job. Elizabeth Warren there talking with a perfectly generic white man in the Senate.
Yeah, Elaine, you're right. That's her last hurrah.
I know that's right.
You about to lose your job. You about to lose your job.
How you gonna lose your job on your day off?
Right? How you got fired on your day off? I find it interesting. And I understand that these are on different scales. But the way that some of these very outspoken MAGA supporting women who have never wavered in their support of that idea, is him coming in, are losing their jobs. But they're not indicted for nothing.
That's him. All right, here we go. We're going to audio now.
Look at him pulling a Family Feud, running kissing women.
Yeah, exactly. Is that Tammy Duckworth?
I didn't see.
Senator Duckworth right behind him, who just bent down to kiss somebody else. He looks kind of far back in the chamber. That's the guy I think I was saying looked like Chris Kattan before, maybe.
Mm.
He said, "You got to give me your phone number. I'm going to call you."
Joe, for what it's worth, as an individual and not as the entity of the president, Joe is an affable person.
Oh, very affable. Very affable.
I need him to get on down this aisle, though.
Because they're tacky.
Mm.
Chuck Schumer right behind him.
Thank you. I was trying to remember his name. Oh no, I'm about to pull a Chuck Hobbs on you. Ugh.
Just so tacky of the Republicans not to clap. It's just, I'd like to see a
It's
shot
petty
of
and
Mike
it's
Johnson
childish.
and Vice President Harris to see if Mike Johnson is clapping.
I think Joe got a, he's been drinking his water and got a little shea
I don't
butter.
think it's a facelift. I don't think there's any
It might be a little
surgeon.
Botox though.
I could see Botox maybe, but I don't think there's a surgeon who would put him under the knife.
No,
But the
no,
eyes
no.
do look surprisingly sprightly.
What was that?
Is that Failure Green with the red hat?
Yeah.
Yeah, Trump 2020. Okay, what is the brother saying?
No idea.
Oh, Barbara Lee. You ran a good race, sister.
Mm-hmm.
What does her t-shirt say?
I don't know. I can't see it.
Thank you, Mr. President. Happy to hear that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right, Anthony. Not even fake applause from the Republicans. They just like, no.
How dare you put Biden border crisis when you all voted down the legislation?
Yeah.
Trick.
Short memories.
Oh no, they're
Lack of
purposefully
accountability.
being obtuse. Marjorie Failure Green just said, say her name. He was mentioning somebody.
Girl, bye.
Exactly.
I love that the Republicans are trying to have this whole, we're not. Oh yeah, the shirt says say her name. Thank you, Paul. But yeah, they're like, we're not gonna participate in there. And he's like, yeah, I'll shake the hand of the person behind you. I wasn't looking at you no way.
I think he looks good.
I think he looks good, but I also think that he needs to get on down this aisle because I don't know how much reserve of energy he actually has.
Exactly. Let's get him down.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, get your phone ready.
Right.
How do you not have your selfie ready?
Even he's like, let me help you. Yeah, come on.
And he's holding her hand steady. They're talking about how he can barely do it. That sister looks clean as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, Gammy. You better work it out.
I told you, that's Boulay right there.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's Joe Manchin. And Mitt Romney shaking it. So collegial.
Yeah. Mitt Romney has never been a bad dude. I just didn't agree with all his policies. But Mitt Romney, in and of itself, not a bad dude.
Now we got to get a picture now. Turn around. Everybody trying to get their last selfie.
This is the last selfie.
Girl, can you just, how about you have your phone ready? This is what I don't understand.
This
is not a child's birth. Oh, but it's her. You get grace because you're
They're
fabulous.
doing good to take a selfie. Come on now. I apologize for my ageist remarks. I'm not wrong.
Can you just let him get up to the podium, please? My God.
Stop acting surprised to see people you knew was going to be in here and get on down.
Exactly. He's the one you've been waiting for. Stop.
Right? Tell them who
get
you
your battery
came to
pack
see.
together. We know he's going to do great. All right, hot mics, you better pick it up.
Mm-hmm. He's
I
so
give the
close. Come
Democrats
on,
a
y'all,
lot
let
of
them get
credit for
down the
clapping this
aisle.
long. Your hands will hurt if you keep clapping like that. Hakeem Jeffries, my frat brother, Spring 89.
Mm-hmm. You're
There
right,
we
Anthony.
go.
Everybody wants their moment.
That's true. All right.
Get some, Marsha.
Fudge. Come on, Fudge.
Now we started the chant of 4 more years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got the 4 more years. The justice that he nominated. Very
Who understood
grateful.
the assignment? Hey, good to see you. Get on down this aisle.
Right. Now the woman standing in front of him is giving Miranda Priestley. Like, why is nobody ready? Oh, shaking hands with all the justices.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, make that right decision on April 25th, guys.
Mm-hmm. $10 says somebody on the right is going to say that his salute was a little weak just now.
Oh, of course.
Mm-hmm. And that's so disrespectful to our soldiers and some other nonsense.
Nancy Pelosi looking very sprightly,
Pelosi is,
spry.
yeah.
Look at those high-ranking female generals.
Mm-hmm.
Something we would not have seen not too long ago.
Right, not at all. Not that they didn't exist, but that they would not have been
It would
considered
not
for
have
invitation.
exactly.
Right. Joe, you so close. Just get up there.
Please, bro. Please. Got 25 more steps, Mr. President.
Mm-hmm. Once he makes it up here, our plan is to listen to what he has to say and either interject in moments of quiet or to type comments along with the rest of you into the chat.
We appreciate you for sticking with us. We love you. There he is.
Go, 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 go.
Making it up. Nary a stumble, nary a twitch or a skip or anything. Johnson is shaking his hand. That was collegial.
Is that a copy of his speech?
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, he touched the forehead that time, so that was good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna settle down now and listen.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's where they need to be. Sit down. Let's go.
You could call that applause rapturous. Of course, Mike Johnson can't bring himself to clap his hands even once. Third in line for the presidency. Can't clap for his boss. Yeah, he's just looking into the crowd. That's not a salute. Oh, he's looking. Was he looking for Jill? Did he just say Jill? Great smile. You know who doesn't smile very much?
Good evening.
Donald Trump.
Well, you know, you got to have a soul to pull that off.
Good evening. If I were smart, I'd go home now.
Nice opening.
Great way to open.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, members of Congress, my fellow Americans. In January 1941, Franklin Roosevelt came to this chamber to speak to the nation. And he said, I address you at a moment unprecedented in the history of the Union. Hitler was on the march. War was raging in Europe. President Roosevelt's purpose was to wake up Congress and alert the American people that this was no ordinary time. Freedom and democracy were under assault in the world. Tonight, I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union. And yes, My purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either. Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today. What makes our moment rare is that freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas at the very same time. Overseas, Putin of Russia is on the march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond. If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not.
The fourth will open. And this is the
Ukraine.
Oh, ride the moment, President.
Ukraine can stop Putin. Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons that needs to defend itself.
That should have had unilateral support.
That is all. That is all Ukraine is asking. They're not asking for American soldiers. In fact, there are no American soldiers at war in Ukraine, and I'm determined to keep it that way.
That's right.
But now,
he claps for that.
Ukraine is being blocked by those who want to walk away from our world leadership. It wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall."
His speechwriters are killing it.
Oh, this is a strong speech, a very strong speech. And if you can't get Republicans to applaud for Ronald Reagan.
Right.
A former Republican president tells Putin, quote, "Do whatever the hell you want."
Woo!
That's a quote. A former president actually said that, bowing down to a Russian leader. I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable.
Yeah, this is Dark Brandon. He is very good when he gets his gander up. Yeah. You see nobody in the GOP is standing up, but there's at least one person over there who is clapping.
As a founding
Patrice, you're right. He's been waiting his whole life for this.
The Military Alliance of Democratic Nations, created after World War II to prevent war and keep the peace. And today, we've made NATO stronger than ever. We welcomed Finland to the alliance last year. And just this morning, Sweden officially joined, and their minister is here tonight. We're going to stand up.
Oh, that makes sense. Put him right next to Dr. Biden.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Very nice. Those Norwegian states weren't going to go for the okie doke.
Mr. Prime Minister, welcome to NATO, the strongest military alliance the world has ever seen. I say this to Congress, we have to stand up to Putin. Send me a bipartisan national security bill. History is literally watching. History is watching. If the United States walks away, it will put Ukraine at risk. Europe is at risk. The free world will be at risk, emboldening others to do what they wish to do us harm. My message to President Putin, who I've known for a long time, is simple. We will not walk away.
You know what? I'm giving him very strong marks for delivery.
Yeah.
This is the very forceful. This is the very America is strong.
Right. And the way that he's talking through the clapping is like, I'm not here for your claps. I got something to say.
Right. I have something to say.
History is watching. History is watching. Just like history watched 3 years ago on January 6th. When insurrectionists stormed this very Capitol and placed a dagger to the throat of American democracy. Many of you are here on that darkest of days. We all saw with our own eyes the insurrectionists were not patriots. They'd come to stop the peaceful transfer of power, to overturn the will of the people. January 6th lies about the 2020 election and the plots to steal the election posed a gravest threat to U.S. democracy since the Civil War. But they failed.
There it is.
America stood.
Yeah, he can't clap for that.
has stood strong and democracy prevailed.
That's right.
Yeah.
We must be honest. The threat to democracy must be defended. My predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th.
All right.
I will
and
not
some
do
of you
that.
here.
This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lies. Here's the simple truth. You can't love your country only when you win.
Wow. That's a good line.
That's deep. He is
That's
delivering
a-
some bangers up front. I hope
That's
he
a
stays
really
this
good
level
line.
of energy. Yeah.
You know, I'm watching this through the lens of like several seasons of West Wing and knowing what these speechwriters have to go through in order to craft these
Ever
zingers.
since being elected to
Right.
office, I ask all of you without regard to party to join together and defend democracy. Remember your oath of office of defending against all threats, foreign and domestic.
Wow. Wow.
Respect free and fair elections, restore trust in our institutions, and make clear political violence has absolutely no place in America, zero place.
He had to get that last little tweet off before she stood up and clapped.
It's not hyperbole to suggest history is watching. We're watching. Your children and grandchildren will read about this day and what we do. History is watching another assault on freedom. Joining us tonight is Latoya Beasley, a social worker from Birmingham, Alabama. 14 months ago, she and her husband welcomed a baby girl thanks to the miracle of IVF. She scheduled treatments to have that second child. The Alabama Supreme Court shut down IVF treatments across the state, unleashed by a Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade. She was told her dream would have to wait. What her family had got through should never have happened. Unless Congress acts, it could happen again. So tonight, let's stand up for families like hers. To my friends across the aisle, don't keep this waiting any longer. Guarantee the right to AVF.
How you gonna be pro-life when you don't like IVF? Where they do that at?
They're trying to protect the other embryos.
Yes, connect those dots.
He's
Like
doing
most
it.
Americans, I believe Roe v. Wade got it right. I thank Vice President Harris for being an incredible leader defending reproductive freedom.
Nice
Thank you for the
boss.
shout out. Yeah,
Thank you. She looks amazing tonight. She really
she does.
She looks amazing.
My predecessor came to office determined to see Roe v. Wade overturned. He's the reason it was overturned, and he brags about it. Look at the chaos that has resulted. Joining us tonight is Kate Cox, the wife and mother from Dallas. She's become pregnant again and had a fetus with a fatal condition. Her doctor told Kate that her own life and her ability to have children in the future were at risk if she didn't act. Because Texas law banned her ability to act, Kate and her husband had to leave the state to get what she needed. What her family got through should have never happened as well, but it's happening in too many others.
Oh,
There are state laws banning the freedom to choose, criminalizing doctors, forcing survivors of rape and incest to leave their states to get the treatment they need. Many of you in this chamber and my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? Look, it's a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court majority wrote the following, and with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power. Electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you're right about that.
Ooh, did he just say bring it, Supreme Court?
I mean, what are they gonna do?
Right?
If Trump can talk trash, so can they. So can he.
Clearly.
He's falling a little bit into the weeds here. These are the first substantive stumbles of the night.
About overturning Roe v. Wade have no clue about the power of women, but they found out when reproductive freedom was on the ballot. We won in 2022 and 2020, and we'll win again in 2024.
This is why I wanted him to get down the aisle. Find that amount of energy.
Yep. Ooh, did you see them just sitting And Chan said that is
you, the American
Thomas not
people,
there?
send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, I promise you, I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again.
That's a strong
Big
statement.
Big statement. Stop coughing. Get that man a Sucrets.
A lozenge.
Ludens.
America cannot go back. I'm here tonight to show what I believe is the way forward, because I know how far we come. 4 years ago next week, before I came to office, the country was hit by the worst pandemic and the worst economic crisis in a century. Remember the fear, record losses? Remember the spikes in crime and the murder rate, raging virus that took more than 1 million American lives, of loved ones, millions left behind? A mental health crisis of isolation and loneliness. A president, my predecessor, failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable. I came to office determined to get us through one of the toughest periods in the nation's history. We have. It doesn't make news in 1,000 cities and towns. The American people are writing the greatest comeback story never told. So let's tell the story here. Tell it here and now. America's comeback is building the future of American possibilities, building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down. Investing in all America, in all Americans, to make sure everyone has a fair shot. We leave no one behind. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The vaccines that saved us from COVID are now being used to beat cancer, turning setback into comeback. That's what America does.
That's strong.
What America does.
Yeah, that's a good line. And I didn't know that, actually. Although it makes sense that the rapid vaccine
My
development.
heritage economy is on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record. A record.
I will say retroviruses is how we get zombies, though. I'm just saying.
Hello,
50-year low. A record 16 million Americans are starting small businesses, and each one is a literal act of hope. With historic job growth and small business growth for Black and Hispanics and Asian Americans, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in America and counting. Where is it written we can't be the manufacturing capital of the world? We are, we will. More people have health insurance today. More people have health insurance today than ever before. The racial wealth gap is as small as it's been in 20 years. Wages keep going up, inflation keeps coming down. Inflation has dropped from 9% to 3%, the lowest in the world and tending lower.
Okay. We're going to fact check that, though.
The landing is and will be soft. And now, instead of importing foreign products and exporting American jobs, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Right here in America, where they belong.
These speechwriters are doing an excellent
These
job.
speechwriters are Oscar worthy.
Yeah.
It takes time, but the American people are beginning to feel it. Consumer studies show consumer confidence is soaring. Buy America has been the law of the land since the 1930s. Past administrations, including my predecessor, including some Democrats as well in the past, failed to buy American. Not anymore. On my watch, federal projects that you fund, like helping build American roads, bridges, and highways, will be made with American products and built by American workers.
There it is.
Yep. You can't argue that. How is that not good for the country?
Paying American jobs.
Mike Johnson looks very small.
Act, the United States is investing more in research and development than ever before. During the pandemic, a shortage of semiconductors, chips, that drove up the price of everything from cell phones to automobiles. And by the way, we invented those chips right here in America. Well, instead of having to import them, private companies are now investing billions of dollars to build new chip factories here in America, creating tens of thousands of jobs. Many of those jobs paying $100,000 a year and don't require a college degree.
That's a good call.
That's
to
a
say
good
that.
stat. Making some of these college folks look at it like, what am I doing?
In fact, my policies have attracted $650 billion in private sector investment in clean energy, advanced manufacturing, creating tens of thousands of jobs here in America.
He's shouting, and that's why his throat is. But he's very
Thanks to
forceful.
our bipartisan infrastructure law,
He's not sleeping.
46,000 new projects have been announced all across your communities. And by the way, I noticed some of you strongly voted against it, or they're cheering on that money coming in.
Ha! Love it.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I feel like that was off script.
If any of you don't want that money in your district, just let me know. Modernizing our roads and bridges, ports and airports, public transit systems. Removing poisonous lead pipes so every child can drink clean water without risk of brain damage.
How are you not standing? At least some of them are clapping.
Some of them are clapping, though. Some of them are clapping.
High-speed internet for every American, no matter where you live, urban, suburban, or rural communities, in red states and blue states. Record investments in tribal communities. Because of my investment in a family farm, because I invested in family farms led by my Secretary of Agriculture, who knows more about this than anybody I know, we're better able to stay in the family for those farms and their children and grandchildren won't have to leave home to make a living. It's transformative. The great comeback story is Belvedere, Illinois, home to an auto plant for nearly 60 years. Before I came to office, the plant was on its way to shutting down. Thousands of workers feared for their livelihoods. Hope was fading. Then I was elected to office, and we raised the Belvedere repeatedly with auto companies, knowing unions would make all the difference. The UAW worked like hell to keep the plant open and get these jobs back, and together we succeeded. Instead of auto factories shutting down, auto factories reopening, a new state-of-the-art battery factories being built to power those cars there at the same. The folks of Belvedere, I say, instead of your town being left behind, your community is moving forward again. Because instead of watching auto jobs of the future go overseas, 4,000 union jobs with higher wages are building the future in Belvedere right here in America.
These are great sentences.
Yeah, this is inspirational.
This is a campaign ad.
Here tonight is UAW President Shawn Fain, a great friend and a great labor leader. Shawn, where are you? Stand up.
Right in front of Joe. Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
And Dawn Sims, a third generation worker, UAW worker at Belvedere. Shawn, I was proud to be the first president to stand on the picket line. And today, Dawn has a good job in her hometown, providing stability for her family and pride and dignity as well. Showing once again, Wall Street didn't build America. They're not bad guys. They didn't build it, though. The middle class built the country, and unions built the middle class.
There it is. That's another great line.
I hope that the undecideds are watching this, because this is inspirational. Yeah. He's yelling for a reason. Yeah.
You can talk about teleprompter all you want.
When America gets knocked down, we get back up. We keep going. That's America. That's you.
All right, Colin Allred.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of you America's coming back. It's because of you our future is bright. It's because of you that tonight we can proudly say the state of our union is strong and getting stronger.
It is the education secretary Miguel Cardona is the designated
Designated
survivor.
survivor.
Tonight, tonight, I want to talk about the future of possibilities that we can build together. A future where the days of trickle-down economics are over and the wealthy and the biggest corporations no longer get all the tax breaks. And by the way, I understand corporations. I come from a state that has more corporations invested than every one of your states in the United States combined. And I represented it for 36 years. I'm not anti-corporation, but I grew up in a home where trickle-down economics didn't put much on my dad's kitchen table. That's why I determined to turn things around so middle class does well. When they do well, the poor go way up and the wealthy still do very well. We all do well. And there's more to do to make sure you're feeling the benefits of all we're doing. Americans pay more for prescription drugs than anywhere in the world. It's wrong, and I'm ending it.
That's big.
I'm ending it.
That's big. That's how you get that 45 and up vote, because all of us are on some prescription medicine.
We all got something.
Right?
With the law that I proposed and signed, not one of your Republican buddies voted for it. We finally beat Big Pharma. Instead of paying $400 a month or thereabouts for insulin with diabetes, and it only costs $10 to make, they only get paid $35 a month now and still make a healthy profit.
Can you dig it?
But what to do next? I want to cap the cost of insulin $35 a month for every American who needs it. Everyone. For years, people have talked about it, but finally we got it done and gave Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices on prescription drugs, just like the VA is able to do for veterans. That's not just saving seniors money, it's saving taxpayers money. We cut the federal deficit by $160 billion.
Go ahead, Bernie.
Because Medicare
Protect yourself.
will no longer have to pay those exorbitant prices to Big Pharma. This year, Medicare is negotiating lower prices for some of the costliest drugs on the market that treat everything from heart disease to arthritis. It's now time to go further and give Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices for 500 different drugs over the next decade.
This isn't just the voters, this is your parent.
Yeah.
And they'll still be extremely profitable. Will not only save lives, it will save taxpayers another $200 billion. Starting next year, the same law caps total prescription drug costs for seniors on Medicare at $2,000 a year, even for expensive cancer drugs that cost $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. Now I want to cap prescription drug costs at $2,000 a year for everyone.
Wow.
You're right. You're right, Anthony. He's making a wide appeal.
It is.
This is what people wanted to hear.
I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, but if you want to get an Air Force One and fly to Toronto, Berlin, Moscow, even Moscow, probably. And bring your prescription with you, and I promise you I'll get it for you for 40% the cost you're paying now. Same company, same drug, same place. Folks, the Affordable Care Act, the old Obamacare, it's still a very big deal.
I like it. I like it.
He didn't make the point that he was trying to make
Over
with that
100
Air Force One
million
thing.
of you
No.
He's moved
can
past.
no longer be denied health insurance because of pre-existing condition. Well, my predecessor, many in this chamber, want to take this prescription drug away by repealing Affordable Care Act. I'm not going to let that happen. We stopped you 50 times before, and we'll stop you again.
I'm just
fact,
realizing
I'm
that
not only
the woman I
protecting it,
thought
I'm
was
expanding
Latina is actually Lauren Boebert sitting
We
next to that.
enacted tax credits.
That's that blue dress.
$800 per person per year, reduce healthcare costs for millions of working families. That tax credit expires next year. I want to make that savings permanent.
Oh, Mike Johnson appears to like that.
I mean, how can you not? If you care about anybody
State
other than
the
yourself,
obvious.
even
Women
yourself.
are more than half our population, but research on women's health has always been underfunded. That's why we're launching the first ever White House initiative on women's health research, led by Jill, doing an incredible job as First Lady.
Go ahead, Jill.
Go
Go
on.
ahead, Dr. Biden.
And what is Maria Shriver doing up there?
They're probably partnering on that. Yeah.
To pass my plan for $12 billion to transfer women's health research and benefit millions of lives all across America. I know the cost of housing is so important to you. If inflation keeps coming down, mortgage rates will come down as well, and the Fed acknowledges that. But I'm not waiting. I want to provide an annual tax credit that will give Americans $400 a month for the next 2 years as mortgage rates come down, to put toward their mortgages when they buy their first home or trade up for a little more space.
Okay.
Just for 2 years.
That's a good dream.
That's big for so many
You said
people.
$400 a month. That's
Home right now.
$4,800.
Yeah.
$9,600 over 2 years.
And my
Audacious.
administration is also eliminating title insurance on federally backed mortgages.
Oh,
When you refinance your home, you can save $1,000 or more as a consequence. For millions of renters, we're cracking down on big landlords who use antitrust law, who break antitrust laws by price fixing and driving up rents. We've cut red tape so builders can get federally financing, which is already helping build a record 1.7 million new housing units nationwide. Now pass and build and renovate 2 million affordable homes and bring those rents down.
Now you're getting the young vote. Now you're hitting that the millennials.
yep. I'm waiting for the bit about student
To
loan.
remain the strongest economy in the world, we need to have the best education system in the world.
Ah, come on.
And I suspect all of you, want to give every child, a good start by providing access to preschool for 3 and 4 years old.
Okay.
You know, I think I pointed out last year that children coming from broken homes where there's no books, they're not read to, not spoken to very often, start school, kindergarten, or first grade, having heard 1 million fewer words spoken. Well, studies show that children who go to preschool are nearly 50% more likely to finish high school, go on to earn a 2- and 4-year degree, no matter what their background is.
Say it. Get those statistics out.
Right, and it wasn't about race.
Nope.
It's a good thing. Mm-hmm.
I met
There are rural
a year and a
people that
half
are
ago
hearing
with the leaders of the Business Roundtable. They were mad that they were angry. I think, well, they were discussing why I wanted to spend money on education. I pointed out to them as vice president, I met with over 182 of those folks. Don't hold me to the exact number. And I asked them what they need most, the CEOs. And you've had the same experience on both sides of the aisle. They say a better educated workforce, right? So I looked at them and I say, I come from Delaware. DuPont used to be the 8th largest corporation in the world. And every new enterprise they bought, they educated the workforce to that enterprise. But none of you do that anymore. Why are you angry with me providing you the opportunity for the best educated workforce in the world? And they all looked at me and said, I think you're right. I want to expand high quality tutoring and summer learning to see that every child learns to read by 3rd grade. I'm also connecting local businesses and high schools so students get hands-on experience and a path to good paying job, whether or not they go to college. And I want to make sure that college is more affordable. Let's continue increasing the Pell Grants to working and middle-class families and increase record investments in HBCUs
Whoa!
Serving institutions, including Hispanic
Come on,
institutions.
HBCU.
Nice. And you took UTEP.
When I was
Shout
told
out
I
to these
couldn't
snacks.
universally just change the way in which we dealt with student loans, I fixed 2 student loan programs that already existed to reduce the burden of student debt for nearly 4 million Americans, including nurses, firefighters, and others in public service. Like Keenan Jones, a public educator from Minnesota, who's here with us tonight. Keenan, where are you? Keenan, thank you.
He was
He's
ready.
educated hundreds of students so they can go to college.
Sean, too.
Now he's able to help, after debt forgiveness, get his own daughter to college.
Now, who's that kid next to him?
And folks, look,
He
such
looked like
relief
he
is
could be
good
his
for
mom.
the economy because folks are now able to buy a home, start a business, start a family. While we're at it, I want to give public school teachers a raise.
That's what's up.
Come on, Abbott
That's
Elementary.
what's up.
Elizabeth Warren loved that.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Biden, of course.
And by the way, the first couple of years, we cut the deficit. Now, let me speak to the question of fundamental fairness for all Americans. I've been delivering real results in fiscally responsible ways. We've already cut the federal deficit. We've already cut the federal deficit over $1 trillion. I signed the bipartisan deal to cut another $1 trillion in the next decade. It's my goal to cut the federal deficit another $3 trillion by making big corporations and very wealthy finally beginning to pay their fair share.
There it is. You know Akazi is standing up.
Yep.
I'm a capitalist. You want to make or can make $1 million or millions of bucks, that's great. Just pay your fair share in taxes. A fair tax code is how we invest things and make this country great. Healthcare, education, defense, and so much more. But here's the deal. The last administration enacted a $2 trillion tax cut, overwhelmingly benefit the top 1%, the very wealthy and the biggest corporations, and exploded the federal deficit. They added more to the national debt than any presidential term in American history. Check the numbers. Folks at home, does anybody really think the tax code is fair? Do you really think the wealthy and big corporations need another $2 trillion tax break? I sure don't. I'm going to keep fighting like hell to make it fair. Under my plan, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in federal taxes. Nobody, not one penny. And they haven't yet.
You didn't hear anybody yell yes.
The child
You can't
tax
cheer
bill
for
that I
trillionaires.
passed during the pandemic cut taxes for millions of working families and cut child poverty in half.
That's
Restore
big.
that child tax credit.
Look at Rubio.
No child should go hungry in this country. The way to make the tax code fair is to make big corporations and the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Remember in 2020, 55 of the biggest companies in America made $40 billion and paid zero in federal income tax. Zero. Not anymore. Thanks to the law I wrote and we signed, big companies have to pay a minimum of 15%. But that's still less than working people pay in federal taxes. It's time to raise corporate minimum tax to at least 21%.
That's what I got to pay. They can pay it too.
So every big corporation finally begins to pay their fair share. I also want to end tax breaks for big pharma, big oil, private jets, massive executive pay when it's only supposed to be $1 million that can be deducted. They can pay them $20 million if they want, but deduct $1 million. End it now. You know, there are 1,000 billionaires in America. You know what the average federal tax is for those billionaires? No. They're making great sacrifices, 8.2%. That's far less than the vast majority of Americans pay. No billionaire should pay a lower federal tax rate than a teacher, a sanitation worker, or a nurse.
There it is.
Nice.
There
Nice way to
it
put
is.
it. Nice
Say
way to
that
put it.
shit.
This is good.
This is a good speech.
Minimum tax for billionaires at 25%, just 25%. You know what that would raise? That would raise $500 billion over the next 10 years. And imagine what that could do for America. Imagine a future with affordable child care. Millions of families can get they need to go to work to help grow the economy. Imagine a future with paid leave, because no one should have to choose between working and taking care of their sick family member. Imagine the future of home care and elder care, and people living with disabilities so they can stay in their homes and family caregivers can finally get the pay they deserve. Tonight, let's all agree once again to stand up for seniors. Many of my friends on the other side of the aisle want to put Social Security on the chopping block. If anyone here tries to cut Social Security, Medicare, or raise the retirement age, I will stop you.
Channeling Liam
Neeson. The working people who built this country pay more into Social Security than millionaires and billionaires do. It's not fair. We have two ways to go. Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy. That's the proposal. Oh no, you guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was. Well, that's good to hear. You're not going to cut another $2 trillion for the super wealthy. That's good to hear. I'll protect and strengthen Social Security and make the wealthy pay their fair share.
That was sweet. That was sweet that he was able to respond to that in the moment.
Yep.
Oh, is that what you're doing? Because that's what I heard. Yeah.
Too many corporations raise prices to pad their profits, charging more and more for less and less. That's why we're cracking down on corporations that engage in price gouging and deceptive pricing, from food to healthcare to housing. In fact, the snack companies think you won't notice if they change the size of the bag and put a hell of a lot fewer, same size bag, put fewer chips in it. No, I'm not joking. It's called shrinkflation. Pass Bobby Casey's bill and stop this.
Give him my potatoes, man. That's what's
Somebody
up.
hit him, dude. Come on,
man. Is in on it.
Same bag, fewer chips.
I do notice that.
I saw that commercial on Snickers bars. You get charged the same amount, and you got about, 10% fewer Snickers in it.
Be
Look,
careful with that bar.
I'm also getting rid of junk fees. Those hidden fees at the end of your bill that are there without your knowledge. My administration announced we're cutting credit card late fees from $32 to $8.
That's awesome.
That's huge.
I appreciate that personally.
Right?
Banks and credit card companies
Yes,
are
ma'am,
allowed to charge what it costs them to instigate the collection. And that's more a hell of a lot, like $8 and 30 some dollars. They don't like it. Credit card companies don't like it. But I'm saving American families $20 billion a year with all the junk fees I'm eliminating.
Damn.
Folks
That
at
is
home,
insanity. $20 billion
that's what the
in
banks
Because
say
everybody
now
got
is
late fees, because
$20
everybody's in
billion
debt.
in profit. I'm not stopping there. My administration has proposed rules to make cable, travel, utilities, and online ticket sellers tell you the total price up front, so there are no surprises.
I know that's right.
It matters. It matters.
Mm-hmm.
And so does
An
this.
informed decision.
In November, my team began serious negotiation with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen. Oh, you don't think so? Oh, you don't like that bill, huh? That conservatives got together and said it was a good bill? I'll be darned. That's amazing. That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges, help tackle the backload of 2 million cases, 4,300 more asylum officers, and new policies so they can resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years now.
Get him. That's right.
What are you against? 100 more high-tech drug detection machines to significantly increase the ability to screen and stop vehicles smuggling fentanyl into America. That's killing thousands of children.
Nice. Nice. Talk about that addiction. Mm-hmm.
And then order the border. It will also give me and any new president new emergency authority to temporarily shut down the border when the number of migrants at the border is overwhelming. The Border Patrol Union has endorsed this bill. The Federal Chamber of Commerce is, yeah. You're saying low. Look at the facts. I know you know how to read.
Oh! Come on, Joe!
Given the opportunity for a majority in the House and Senate would endorse the bill as well, a majority right now. But unfortunately, politics has derailed this bill so far. I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win. He viewed it as a political win for me and a political loser for him. It's not about him. It's not about me. I'd be a winner. Not really.
That was Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing. And it's worth it taking the chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and come all that way, knowing that they'll be able to be kicked out quickly. Folks,
that's the closing
I would
argument.
respectfully suggest my Republican friends owe it to the American people, get this bill done. We need to act now.
Squirming. He did not come to play. Patrice is right.
Mm-hmm.
And if my predecessor is watching, instead of paying politics and pressuring members of Congress to block the bill, join me in telling the Congress to pass it. We can do it together. But that's what here's what he will not do. I will not demonize immigrants saying they are poison in the blood of our country. I will not separate families. I will not ban people because of their faith. Unlike my predecessor on my first day in office, I introduced a comprehensive bill to fix our immigration system. Take a look at it. It has all these and more. Secure the border. Provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, and so much more. But unlike my predecessor, I know who we are as Americans. We're the only nation in the world with a heart and soul that draws from old and new. Home to Native Americans, and ancestors have been here for thousands of years. Home to people of every place, from every place on earth. They came freely. Some came in chains. Some came when famine struck, like my ancestral family in Ireland. Some to flee persecution, to chase dreams that are impossible anywhere but here in America. That's America. And we all come from somewhere, but we're all Americans.
Oh, gosh. We showed Jim Jordan just then.
Look, folks, we have a simple choice. We can fight about fixing the border, or we can fix it.
Nice,
Woo!
nice,
Nice
nice
tribute,
call.
And Johnson
Send me
looks
the
like such a
border bills
prick.
now.
Fix it, fix it, fix it.
A transformational moment in history happened 59 years ago today in Selma, Alabama. Hundreds of foot soldiers for justice marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, named after the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, to claim their fundamental right to vote. They were beaten, they were bloody, and left for dead. Our late friend and former colleague, John Lewis, was on that march. We miss him.
Oh, he stood up for that.
Thank you.
But joining us tonight,
Oh,
our other marchers, both in the gallery and on the floor, including Betty Mae Fikes, known as the voice of Selma.
She's like, I
The
just
daughter
sat
of
down.
gospel singers and
Right.
preachers. She sang songs of prayer and
brother,
protest
help her
on
up.
that bloody Sunday.
He's not even
Help
paying
shake the
attention.
nation's conscience. 5 months later, the Voting Rights Act passed and was signed into law.
There she goes. You got up for that.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And Clyburn was there.
This is a strong speech. He has forced the Republicans to
incredible
stand up
speech.
because
It's an
there's no way
incredible
you
speech.
can't. Mhm.
But 59 years later, their forces taking us back in time.
Chan.
Voter suppression, election subversion, unlimited dark money, extreme gerrymandering. John Lewis was a great friend to many of us here. But if you truly want to honor him and all the heroes who marched with him, then it's time to do more than talk. Pass the Freedom to Vote Act, the John Lewis Voting Right Act.
Yes.
And stop denying another core value of America, our diversity across American life. Banning books, it's wrong. Instead of erasing history, let's make history. I want to protect fundamental rights. Pass the Equality Act.
Oh,
And my message to
100 years in the
transgender
making.
Americans, I have your back. Pass the PRO Act for workers' rights. Raise the federal minimum wage because every worker has a right to a decent living more than $7 an hour. We're also making history by confronting the climate crisis, not denying it. I don't think any of you think there's no longer a climate crisis. At least I hope you don't. I'm taking the most significant action ever on climate in the history of the world. I'm cutting our carbon emissions in half by 2030, creating tens of thousands of clean energy jobs like the IBEW work is building and installing 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations.
Yeah.
Conserving 30% of America's lands and waters by 2030. And taking action on environmental justice fence line communities smothered by the legacy of pollution. And pattern after the Peace Corps and AmeriCorps, I launched the Climate Corps to put 20,000 young people to work in the forefront of our clean energy future. I'll triple that number in a decade.
oh, I think Andrea Ocasio-Cortez likes that one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when Mike Johnson is removed as
State the
speaker,
obvious.
it'll be Hakeem
All
and Kamala
Americans
behind Joe Biden.
deserve the freedom to be safe. And America is safer today than when I took office. Year before I took office, murder rates went up 30%. 30% they went up. The biggest increase in history. It was then,
Who the hell is that?
through
Somebody getting
my
that
American
sleep.
Rescue Plan, which every American voted against, I might add, we made the largest investment in public safety ever.
He meant every
Last
Republican.
year, the murder rate saw the sharpest decrease in history. Violent crime fell to one of its lowest levels in more than 50 years. But we have more to do. We have to help cities invest in more community police officers, more mental health workers, more community violence intervention. Give communities the tool to crack down on gun crime, retail crime, and carjacking. Keep building trust, as I've been doing by taking executive action on police reform.
All right.
And calling for it to be the law of the land. Directing my cabinet to review the federal classification of marijuana and expunging thousands of convictions for the mere possession, because no one should be jailed for simply using or have it on their record. Take on crimes of domestic violence. I'm ramping up the federal enforcement of the Violence Against Women Act that I proudly wrote when I was a senator, so we can finally end the scourge against women in America.
I know Kamala's claws are burning back here.
There are other kinds of violence I want to stop. With us tonight is Jasmine, whose 9-year-old sister Jackie was murdered with 21 classmates and teachers in an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Very soon after that happened, Jill and I went to Uvalde for a couple of days. We spent hours and hours with each of the families. We heard their message, so everyone in this room, in this chamber, could hear the same message. The constant refrain, and I was there for hours meeting with every family. They said, do something. Do something. Well, I did do something by establishing the first ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the White House, that the Vice President is leading the charge. Thank you for doing it. Meanwhile, my predecessor told the NRA he's proud he did nothing on guns when he was president. Oh. After another shooting in Iowa recently, he said, when asked what to do about it, he said, just get over it. There's his quote, just get over it. I say, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. I'm proud we beat the NRA when I signed the most significant gun safety law in nearly 30 years because of this Congress. We now must beat the NRA again. I'm demanding a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines.
Nice.
Pass universal background checks. None of this. I taught the Second Amendment for 12 years. None of this violates the Second Amendment or vilifies responsible gun owners.
What are you doing?
Something happened. Oh, playback. They thought I wasn't watching.
Oh, no. Sat still for too long. Check out our C-SPAN show.
To manage challenges at home, we're also managing crises abroad, including in the Middle East. I know the last 5 months have been gut-wrenching for so many people, for the Israeli people, for the Palestinian people, and so many here in America. This crisis began on October 7th with a massacre by a terrorist group called Hamas, as you all know. 1,200 innocent people, women and girls, men and boys, slaughtered after enduring sexual violence. The deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust. And 250 hostages taken. Here in this chamber tonight are families whose loved ones are still being held by Hamas. I pledge to all the families that we will not rest until we bring every one of your loved ones home. We also work around the clock to bring home Evan and Paul, Americans being unjustly detained by the Russians and others around the world. Israel has the right to go after Hamas. Hamas ended this conflict by releasing hostages, laying down arms, could end it by releasing the hostages, laying down arms, and surrendering those responsible for October 7th. But Israel has Israel has a added burden because Hamas hides and operates among the civilian population like cowards under hospitals, daycare centers, and all the like. Israel also has a fundamental responsibility, though, to protect innocent civilians in Gaza.
Nice way to walk that tight. I was wondering how he was going to walk that tightrope.
I was wondering too.
Has taken a greater toll on innocent civilians than all previous wars in Gaza combined. More than 30,000 Palestinians have been killed, most of whom are not Hamas. Thousands and thousands of innocents, women and children, girls and boys, also orphaned. Nearly 2 million more Palestinians under bombardment or displacement. Homes destroyed, neighborhoods in rubble, cities in ruin. Families without food, water, medicine. It's heartbreaking. I've been working nonstop to establish an immediate ceasefire that would last for 6 weeks to get all the prisoners released, all the hostages released, to get the hostages home and ease the intolerable and humanitarian crisis and build toward an enduring, something more enduring. The United States has been leading international efforts to get more humanitarian assistance to Gaza. Tonight, I'm directing the U.S. military to lead an emergency mission to establish a temporary pier in the Mediterranean on the coast of Gaza that can receive large shipments carrying food, water, medicine, and temporary shelters. No U.S. boots will be on the ground. A temporary pier will enable a massive increase in the amount of humanitarian assistance getting into Gaza every day.
It's a good compromise. I mean, it's a good plan.
Yep.
And Israel must do its part.
Hmm.
Israel must allow more aid into Gaza to ensure humanitarian workers aren't caught in the crossfire. And they're announcing they're going to have a crossing in northern Gaza. For the leadership of Israel, I say this: humanitarian assistance cannot be a secondary consideration or a bargaining chip. Protecting and saving innocent lives has to be a priority. As we look to the future, the only real solution to the situation is a two-state solution over time.
Okay.
Wow. That's an official statement of U.S. policy from this
I
president.
say this as a lifelong supporter of Israel. My entire career, no one has a stronger record with Israel than I do. I challenge any of you here. I'm the only American president of Israel in wartime, but there is no other path that guarantees Israel's security and democracy. There is no other path that guarantees Palestinians can live in peace with peace and dignity. And there's no other path that guarantees peace between Israel and all of its neighbors, including Saudi Arabia, with whom I'm talking. Creating stability in the Middle East also means containing the threat posed by Iran. That's why I built a coalition of more than a dozen countries to defend international shipping and freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. I've ordered strikes to degrade the Houthi capability and defend U.S. forces in the region. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not hesitate to direct further measures to protect our people and our military personnel. For years, I've heard many of my Republican and Democratic friends say that China is on the rise and America's falling behind. They've got it backwards. I've been saying it for over 4 years, even when I wasn't president. America's rising. We have the best economy in the world. And since I've come to office, our GDP is up, our trade deficit with China is down to the lowest point in over a decade. And we're standing up against China's unfair economic practices. We're standing up for peace and stability across the Taiwan Straits. I've revitalized our partnership and alliance in the Pacific. India, Australia, Japan, South Korea, Pacific Islands. I've made sure that the most advanced American technologies can't be used in China, not allowing to trade them there. Frankly, for all this tough talk on China, it never occurred to my predecessor to do any of that.
Ooh.
I want competition with China, not conflict. And we're in a stronger position to win the conflict of the 21st century against China than anyone else, for that matter, than any time as well. Here at home, I've signed over 400 bipartisan bills. There's more to pass my unity agenda. Strengthen penalties on fentanyl trafficking. You don't want to do that, huh? Pass bipartisan privacy legislation to protect our children online. Harness.
How can you not be for
Harness the promise of AI to protect us from peril.
that AI thing
Ban
is serious?
AI voice impersonations and more. And keep our truly sacred obligation to train and equip those we send into harm's way and care for them and their families when they come home and when they don't. That's why the song Support and Help of Dennis and the VA, I signed the PACT Act. One of the most significant laws ever, helping millions of veterans exposed to toxins who now are battling more than 100 different cancers. Many of them don't come home, but we owe them and their families support. We owe it to ourselves to keep supporting our new health research agency called ARPA-H, and remind us that we can do big things like end cancer as we know it, and we will.
I mean, that's a bold statement. The as we know it. Okay.
Let me close with this. Yay.
He is trolling them in their face, and I love it.
I know you don't want to hear any more, Lindsay, but I got to say a few more things. I know it may not look like it, but I've been around a while. When you get to be my age, certain things become clearer than ever. I know the American story. Again and again, I've seen the contest between competing forces in the battle for the soul of our nation, between those who want to pull America back to the past and those who want to move America into the future. My lifetime has taught me to embrace freedom and democracy, a future based on core values that have defined America: honesty, decency, dignity, equality, to respect everyone, to give everyone a fair shot, to give hate no safe harbor. Now, other people my age see it differently. The American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution, that's not me. I was born amid World War II when America stood for the freedom of the world. I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claymont, Delaware, among working class people who built this country. I watched in horror as two of my heroes, like many of you did, Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy, were assassinated. And their legacies inspired me to pursue a career in service. I left the law firm and became a public defender because my city of Wilmington was the only city in America occupied by the National Guard after Dr. King was assassinated because of the riots. And I became a county councilman almost by accident. I got elected to the United States Senate when I had no intention of running at age 29. Then vice president, or our first black president. Now president to the first women vice president.
That's a pedigree.
Yep.
That's a pedigree right there.
I've been in here my whole life.
Maxine got up for that one.
Yep.
In my career, I've been told I was too young. By the way, they didn't let me on the Senate elevators for votes sometimes. Not a joke. And I've been told I'm too old. Whether young or old, I've always known what endures. I've known our North Star. The very idea of America is that we're all created equal, deserves to be treated equally throughout our lives. We've never fully lived up to that idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I won't walk away from it now.
Yes.
That's a good line.
I'm optimistic. I really am. I'm optimistic, Nancy.
We've never lived up to that promise, but we've never stopped trying. That's a great line.
That's a great line.
Isn't how old we are. It's how old are our ideas.
Okay.
Hate, anger, revenge, retribution are the oldest of ideas. But you can't lead America with ancient ideas. It'll only take us back. You lead America, the land of possibilities. You need a vision for the future and what can and should be done. Tonight you've heard mine. I see a future where defending democracy, you don't diminish it. I see a future where we restore the right to choose and protect our freedoms, not take them away. I see a future.
I wish he would, Chan. I wish he would throw on some shades and mic drop at the end of this.
Shot, and the wealthy have to pay their fair share in taxes. I see a future where we save the planet from the climate crisis and our country from gun violence. Above all, I see a future for all Americans. I see a country for all Americans. And I will always be president for all Americans because I believe in America. I believe in you, the American people. You're the reason we've never been more optimistic about our future than I am now. So let's build the future together. Let's remember who we are. We are the United States of America. And there's nothing beyond our capacity when we act together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That was good. That was good. I gotta say, there was a whole lot. Sorry, Chan, no shades at the end, but it would have been nice if he did.
Well, we got some.
Right?
Yeah, I just lowered the volume just so that it's a little bit easier for us to talk over this. We've been on for 2 hours, and that was a very forceful speech. I don't know how anybody credibly can talk about his age or weakness or decline with a speech of that magnitude, consequence, and intellectual rigor. He did a very, very good job, in my opinion. There were a couple of stumbles.
Right, but I mean, talking for that long, you're gonna stumble.
That's what I'm saying. And Trump has never given a speech that's substantive.
Right.
Never. And he never gives a sense that he actually loves the whole country. He loves his people. But there's too many Americans that are enemies, and Joe Biden stayed away from that.
Yeah, you're right, Chan. I fully expect Fox to have a stutter and cough count or ticker running for how many times he stumbled. That's fine. That's fine. And this tonight actually marks a turning point for this show as well. We had our first 2 trolls tonight. It's something we haven't done before. Now, one of them, I put the band hammer on because he was getting on my damn nerves. But the other one is still in there. And so you're welcome to your opinion. However, I control the comments that get put onto the screen. And I'm just not going to do it. So you feel free to have your opinion and to espouse whatever you like. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not even going to erase it from the comment section like I did the other. But yeah, we're not putting you on there.
And given that sobriquet, it's pretty obvious what side you're actually aligned on, even though you're calling yourself an independent voter. You sound kind of silly, but that's okay. We're not here to talk about trolls. We're here to talk about the overall consequence and impact.
Thank you for watching the show.
Yeah, thank you for watching the show. We appreciate it. We absolutely appreciate it. And it says something about the show, and it says something about you Sharpies, that we are getting people of such widely divergent political opinions coming to watch. And so that is great. We appreciate that. So Joy, we were commenting, obviously there were a lot of big moments that we enjoyed, a lot of moments, a lot of really impressive lines. Big ups to the speechwriters who I think were absolutely amazing. What would you say were some of your biggest moments of the speech this evening?
My favorite was the one that I commented into the chat when he was like, "I know you know how to read." Like that was there. There's levels to that. Because do they? And
Right.
will they? And have they? I think all of
Right.
that plays into it. Also, that's like one of those classic. I mean, you ain't stupid, is you? Like one of those. Also, I think he said we can fight about the border or we can fix it. I love that line. And I
And that
like
turned
towards
into a
the end.
chant of its own.
I mean, he has been called, genocide and Biden by a lot of people, and his appearance of not doing anything or not having any compassion for the Palestinian people has been. I can't say it's been put to rest, but I can say that his statement was very much an American president's statement of we have our allies, but we recognize this is wrong and we need our allies to do better without picking sides. I thought that was very well done at that point.
It was deftly managed. I'm glad he
Mhm.
ended on the Palestinian crisis because
Mhm.
it seemed like he had started with the Israeli deaths and then kind of wandered away, and I wasn't sure if he was going to address the Palestinian uh,
Mm.
deaths, but then he came back to it. And as you said, he came back to it in a way that somewhat mollified Netanyahu. He didn't name drop him,
Right.
but he made it very clear that there are issues, and he called for a two-state solution. And so that was definitely something that I think worked for him on
In
that
favor,
issue.
yeah. Mhm.
And I thought it was really a strong finish too.
Yeah.
All of these speeches end on big America applause lines, so we knew it was going to be something along those lines. But
Mhm.
I thought he did a really good job, and I think more impressive than almost anything was I think he really did put to rest for Democrats, not.
Mhm.
I don't know that he persuaded too many people. There are some people that he persuaded. Mike Johnson was called to stand up and applaud a couple of times. But I think for Democratic voters, this was a very dynamic night, and it put him on equal footing. There's no more Sleepy Joe. I don't think you can call him Sleepy Joe after this speech. I think he did a really
Mhm.
great job. He gave a forceful but optimistic vision for the future of the country.
Mhm.
He highlighted his biggest things: the jobs, the prescription drugs, the educational opportunity and
The
advancement,
raises for teachers.
the raises for teachers, supporting the union workers, the rebuilding of American infrastructure in manufacturing jobs,
Mhm.
the chips
Good paying
manufacturing
jobs
jobs
without a college education.
without a college education.
Mhm.
His people, in concert with him, because it's always a give and take, his people put together a laundry list, and anybody who was taking notes, it's obviously this is preserved forever. It's going to be on C-SPAN, it's going to be on YouTube, people are going to be talking about it. And one of the things that I really love about this show is that we have a perspective. We clearly have a perspective, but we're not going to sit here and try to put a negative spin and pick apart the few areas where he was weak. There were some stumbles, but
Mhm.
when you consider every Trump speech that happens right now, because this is a binary choice. You've got Trump,
Yeah.
you've got Biden. There's nobody else who will win. So I would rather go for the optimist with a career of public service who has actually turned the country around
Mhm.
than a guy who wants to turn the country back. Because if you're saying make America great again, that means you're necessarily looking back.
Right.
And
And he's trying
Biden's
to turn
looking
it back
way
into
forward.
a rich fat cat's playground
Right. No,
when it was great for him.
I thought he did an amazing job. I
Mhm.
really wasn't sure what to expect. I didn't expect him to do poorly
Yeah.
um, because he's a pro. He's been at
But
this a while and knows what he needs to do. But he understood the assignment, as the kids say, stood on business and
yes.
was 10 toes down on that ass. And I thought he did a really spectacular job. I know I
Oh,
did a
he
good
just
job
said,
of using it. All right, vaccine. Come
nice.
on,
Vaccine with
anti-vaccine.
the endorsement.
Right?
But you know what? There's a lot to that statement
There
because I
is.
have seen politicians not take advice from their speech writers. They have an idea of what they think people want. He had some young speech writers too. And he had people that understood what audience needed to be grabbed in this moment. Even if they weren't watching the State of the Union, they're going to get the clips. They're going to see the remixes on TikTok and whatnot. And they're going to hear, I'm trying to help you, no matter who you are. I'm trying to help your Nana have lower medical costs. I'm trying to help your brother not have to go to college to get a good job. I'm trying to lower your tax rate. The whole movement of a lot of the Gen Z of eat the rich. I'm trying to make rich people pay their fair share. But at the same time, come on, rich people, y'all know y'all need to pay more. All of that came out in this speech. It wasn't half-hearted. No. He came out strong. And you mentioned like he's coughing everything. He was yelling for a reason. It's the same. Yep. I hate to make this comparison, but Obama was very, very, very staid in his delivery. He very rarely raised his voice. You know who raised their voice because it gassed up the people? You're going to hate me for this. Hitler. And the reason I bring him up is because when you're saying something and you want to imply passion, you yell it. If he had come up there with that same exact speech and delivered it in a regular tone of voice, Obama couldn't raise his voice because of the pre-existing unconscious bias in this country. Joe was like, I'm doing what you need to have done. And people were going to hear that. It made him cough a few times. And he also had the emotional roller coaster. When he talked about somebody's losses in the audience, he lowered his voice. So he practiced this speech. It was really good.
I think you raise a very good point about how Obama, who had similar challenges, he adopted more of a preacher's cadence.
Yeah.
But never veered into what could be perceived as angry forcefulness. Even when somebody said, you lie, the famous congressperson who's no longer in Congress, who shouted out that thing. Biden didn't face as much of that, certainly not from the floor. There was that one person who ultimately ended up being removed. Ejected. But the thing that was clever about how Biden related and interacted with things like that was that he heard Marjorie Taylor Greene with the say her name. She was not ready for him to have that picture of that young girl.
Yeah.
And when she shouted it, and she didn't think he would have the balls because Trump wouldn't. She didn't think he would have the balls to raise it. And he said it, and he knew who she was.
Yeah.
But he flipped it by saying, you all have stopped this border bill, and this is why this happened to this young lady and others. And so you got Mike sitting there behind him, squirming, looking uncomfortable, shaking his head. But then you had the author of the bill in the GOP sitting there like, yes, this was a damn good bill.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree. I authored it. And we got more than we ever have even dreamed that we would have gotten out of somebody like Obama. He made a brilliant aside to the strength of the American Care Act. And name dropped Obama. It was the only time, interestingly enough, except when he referenced being a vice president.
Yeah.
He
didn't lean on that. Yeah.
He didn't lean on Obama at all. He took the fight to Trump, my predecessor.
Right, which is that's what he had to do. Yeah.
Exactly. And
you can't play middle of the road with this. You can't try to be non-committal. You got to come out with your stances. He came out swinging. His first few sentences was, "I'm here to fight. Bring it, bro." Like he's about that life. He wanted all the smoke.
Yeah, he was not playing around. It was an unqualified success. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
It was not perfect, but it was a solid A.
Yeah, I give him a solid A.
A solid A. Points off, like even if Simone Biles accidentally like wobbles a little bit on that dismount after that huge floor run, then you got to take a couple of points off for.
Yeah, he had a couple of bounces in there. But I also like something that he could do that his Democratic predecessor Obama could not have done, which is troll the Republicans in their face like that. Oh, that's not what you plan to do? Because I heard that's what y'all was trying to do. Oh, you don't like that? Yeah,
I'm glad to hear
about that life.
I'm glad to hear you don't want to add another $2 trillion to the deficit. That's great. That's great news.
Yeah, that's great. We all agree on that then. And that was off script. So again, speaking to his mental clarity, he's able to come with it in the moment. It didn't throw him off his game, no matter how hard they tried.
There were a couple of attempts of the GOP to try to rattle him, but he played a very smart game. When they tried that, he stopped, he listened, he evaluated whether or not he needed to address it or if he should just push through. And you didn't have anybody Failure Green tried with the say her name thing, both before he approached and during the speech. But she was mollified. When he pulled that picture,
what you gonna do?
Held it up. She ain't had nothing else to say.
You want me to say her name? I said it. Here's why she died, and here's how we can fix that.
Looking for her parents.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I was about to type it into the comments. I decided not to. But with Wayne LaPierre losing his job and facing indictment for fiscal malfeasance, the NRA is not as strong as it has been in the past. And when you think about CPAC this year, the calcification of the GOP party around the rancid Trump orange core is causing challenges. And so, in a week where Mitch McConnell decided he was going to endorse the man who disparaged his wife and who made fun of his wife's family in their time of tragedy, Mitch McConnell endorsed him. And my friend Mo Kelly made a point of saying that there are lines that you just don't cross. And you don't get to talk trash about my wife, Ted Cruz, and then come out and support that man. Nobody would disrespect you for standing up for your family.
Right.
You stood up before God and said that you would cherish that woman.
Because you did, and you didn't have to say anything. You didn't have to endorse me. You could have just stayed quiet.
Right. You already done said you're stepping down, so you've conceded defeat.
Go
home. You didn't have to endorse that man. And the idea that you think, Mitch McConnell, that the people who hate you are going to follow you into supporting Trump when the people who don't want to support Trump weren't going to support Trump because of your hesitance. It was a gross miscalculation, and people don't forget stuff like that.
No.
Ted Cruz is diminished and has been diminished as a political creature ever since he let that man talk trash about his wife and didn't at least figuratively pop him in the face.
Right. He no statement of, families are off limits or that was a low blow. Nothing. Just
nothing. He sunned you, son.
Thank you. May I have another?
Right. And Colin Allred is very pleased. So there's a real shot in Texas, and if Ted Cruz goes down, it's anybody's game. We're defending a lot of seats in the Senate on the Democratic side, 23 of the 30-something seats that are available. And so it's going to be a slog in a couple of those races. Kyrsten Sinema has thrown some doubt. Bob Menendez, what that will do to the dynamic because of his chicanery and gold bars and all that. All of these things are open questions. But tonight, the headline and the story is Joe Biden. What he did, he did what he came to do. And anybody who tries to say that was feckless or ineffectual or stumbling or weak or old or tired man wasn't tired at all. Tired
he did what needed to be done, for sure.
He did.
And I put Patrice's comment back up because I didn't make my point because I got sidetracked. But, when he says here, Joe just said, I know I did a good job. If you say it to Rep. Maxine Waters, there's a history of presidents listening to the Black woman closest to them and making sweeping changes, going all the way back to Roosevelt during the Great Depression. And then you had Lyndon B. Johnson, and now you have Maxine Waters in his ear. We always say this, and the presidents that make lasting change tend to do this. Listen to Black women. Yep. And so he's using her as his thermometer. I know I did a good job if you say it, because he knows she ain't going to let him off the hook.
Nope.
What we tend to do is we are very good at holding people accountable. And so I'm glad she's there. I'm glad that he's listening. And to his point, just because he's old doesn't mean his ideas are old.
Right.
He has been one of the few people in his age range to say, all right, I'm listening.
Right.
You know, what do I need to know? And what can I work
How
on? And
how can I
that's what we
fix it?
need. That's what we need in a president, somebody that listens.
Right. Yeah, I very impressed.
Mm-hmm. Well, that
Just
might be
very
it for us tonight.
yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I am more pleased than I expected to be at the end of this speech, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
I think he absolutely did what he needed to do. He came through strong on Super Tuesday and gave us an incredible Thursday. So kudos to you, President Biden. I think this was almost as good a performance as was possible.
Yes, I agree. I'm
I
waiting on
don't
him
think
to clip this up and turn it into his entire campaign. You
right.
know?
No, that's
Mhm.
easily chop it up. And you're
Mhm.
gonna have the edited sound bites without stumbles over patriotic pictures of flags waving in the back with him repeating some of these applause lines. The things write themselves, quite
Yeah,
frankly.
yeah.
So Chan said before that Fox News is going to have a cough count stutter compilation. Let's not forget, you can do that, but Trump has 600 million stutters and coughs that he is facing in his trials. And March 25th is only 3 weeks away, 2 weeks away.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to be coughing through testimony about the porn star that he paid to shut up.
Broke
So
ass.
this was a great speech. It was a great night. Sharpies, we thank you for sitting with us. Thank you to the trolls for finding us. We appreciate it.
Yep.
So with that, I will say I'm Tom Cunningham.
I'm Joy Stevens.
And this is Steel Sharpens Steel. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next week.